Greetings, mathematicians. I am in my math notebook and I'm adding to my table of contents. Again, I'm on the back page of page 1 of table of contents and today's date. And today we are just taking a baby step away from lesson 1 of unit 3. Today we will multiply by a non-unit fraction. And if you're staying organized, I'm on 23L and 23R. Pause if you need to. Otherwise, stick with me. All right. I've got this framed out already. I'm going to jump right into it and make sure that you are putting in your table or your page numbers, 23L, 23R. And let's take a look at the top. I've got my date. I've got my title, Unit 3, lesson, forgot the number, lesson 2. Multiply by a non-unit fraction. Our objective, it's a little abstract, but I will apply what I learned in lesson 3-1 to non-unit fractions. I need a period. So let's look at the action verb here, apply. What does it mean to apply? Well, it means we're going to put into action. And in the last lesson, we came up with a 4-step solution. So we're going to use that 4-step solution for non-unit fractions. And a unit fraction had a numerator of 1. A non-unit fraction will be a denominator of n. It will be a numerator that is greater than 1. And I know that looks like an odd symbol, so let's show an example. That would be 2/3. That could be 14/17. It could be any non-1 numerator. All right, let's read that objective together. I will apply what I learned in lesson 3-1 to non-unit fractions. And let's put this on here, non-unit fraction examples. All right, I'm going to move on down. Our vocab is pretty easy today. 2 words you've definitely heard before, and they are factor and product. So a factor is one of the items being multiplied. So if we have an expression or an equation, one of the items being multiplied is known as a factor. Say it with me, factor. All right. And in my example problem, there's actually 2 factors here. One factor is a non-unit fraction. Non-unit fraction. And my other factor here, it doesn't have a denominator, so it is a whole number. Excellent. So the other vocab term that we want to get used to using is product. Say it with me, product. Awesome. And when we talk about product, we're talking about the answer. And it's specifically the answer to a multiplication problem. So let's take a look at this non-unit multiplication, this non-unit fraction multiplication problem. 2/3 of 15. Yesterday we talked about unit fractions. So let's look at a unit version of this problem. So that would be 1/3 of 15. And we talked about taking that whole number and dividing by the denominator. And what did we end up with? 15 divided by 3 is 5. Every time it's 5. So that means 2/3. If I took the whole thing of 15, that's why this thing is here. This whole bar is worth 15. Each one is worth 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it an extra step today. We are going to take our whole number, divide by the denominator, and then we're going to multiply by the numerator. So if we're looking for an expression that would be P for product equals whole number, W, divided by denominator, and then multiplied by numerator, but we need the order. So I'd put parentheses on here. So product equals whole number divided by denominator times numerator. So let's try it out. Let's see. Let's go with our whole number, 15 divided by 3. And then we're going to multiply by 2. So let's do it together. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. So our answer should be 10. And visually, if we want to look at this, we figured out that the unit fraction of 15 would be 5. So if we're taking 5 and multiplying it by 2, our answer will end up being 10. All right, so it is just a baby step beyond, little bit of confusion. So let's look at another example on the next page. And this is actually a crucial lesson for 6th grade math. And once we do one more sample, I'll show you the connection to 6th grade math. So I'm simply on 23R now at the top, example number 2. You can feel free to label it. All right, there we go. So let's look at the problem. 3/4 of 24. I can write this another way so I'm not confused. I know this problem is saying 3/4 times 24. I can figure this out using yesterday's method, but what we want to do is look at this visual model. So the fraction tells us how many pieces. So this whole thing, this whole bar is going to be 24. This whole thing is 24. How many pieces do we want to cut it into? Let's look to the denominator. How many pieces? 4. So half, half, half. I have 4 pieces. So if this were a unit fraction problem, I'd say 1/4. I could figure out how much 1/4 of 24 is. Now we can do that as an expression. So let's come up with our product. Product, or our answer, P equals whole number, 24, divided by denominator. And we need that first. So what is it? Divided by denominator. And then we will multiply by our numerator to be working out below. P equals 24 divided by 4. Then I'll multiply by 3, which was our numerator. 24 divided by 4. How many 4s fit in there? 24 divided by 4 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. So each one of these is 6. 6, 6, and 6. Let's double check. 6 and 6 is 12. 12 is half of 24. Okay. So product equals 6 times, and I'll bring it down, 3. So I'm saying if I have 6 and 6, that makes 12. 6 more makes 18. Product equals 18. Let's double check it using yesterday's method. 3/4 times 24 over 1. 3 times 24. This one's going to be a little bit harder. What's 3 times 20? 60. 3 times 4, 12. Put them together, we get 72. 4 times 1 is 4. Now we can divide down. It's going to be, let's do this long division style. 72 divided by 4. 4 goes into 7 one time. Subtract. Bring down the 2. 32. 4 goes into 32. 8 times 4 is 32. No remainder, but I still come up with 18. So I have 2 ways to get the same answer. Some of you will like this one. Putting the whole number in 1 is something we talked about. way back with adding and subtracting fractions. This might be comfortable to you. However, we're going to use much larger numbers if we're multiplying our numerators and dividing by our denominator. Using this method, we actually skipped a couple of steps. We made this very easy. Today, we will see more samples like this in Think Central. But for those of you curious about 6th grade, here's your 6th grade connection. What we're doing right now is a baby step towards proportional relationships. And I'll give you a really good example. In 6th grade, if I gave a quiz and there were a total of 18 points, okay? And the number you got right will be, let's call it n. The number you got right, n over 18. In 6th grade, we're going to talk about percentages and proportions. So what we figure out is percent means per 100. So we could figure out our percentage. So let's see, I think I need to have an easier example. Let's try this again. Let's make it something very simple. Let's do 50-point quiz and you got 40. So if you got 40 out of 50, we can figure out what your percentage is or your overall percent. Now, proportional relationship, we do this. We cross multiply and we divide. So we could say 40 times 100 divided by 50. 40 times 100 is 4,000. Then we divide by 50. We would end up with 4,000 divided by 50. 50 goes into 400. 8 times 0, 0. And then you'd end up with 80. So we could say your answer, your percentage would be 80 over 100 or 80%. And this is something that you will be doing a lot of in 6th grade. And again, this is a baby steps towards something else you'll be doing in 7th grade and 8th grade. So overall, easy lesson today. Big implications if you understand it. If you understand it, it's going to take you far. All right, my friends, thank you for watching.